Valerie told me she'd be here. Here she comes. All right. Hey, we got our eighth member. All right. I want to call the meeting to order. All right. Amy's in the bathroom, so she counts. All right. Amy, you listening? We're ready to start. Call the meeting to order. We'd like to, at this time, I'd like to ask Tom Dixon, and if he would, to please lead us in our invocation.
Will you join me in a moment of prayer? Our Father, as we begin deliberations, we know that we will be talking about serious subjects. We ask for your guidance in all that we do and all that we say. We offer ourselves in service to you in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tom. All right, this time I'd like to ask David, Reverend Casas, if he would, to sign. We have, I think, about 4 or 5 bills, and he's going to sign to subcommittees, and we're in the home stretch, people, so this is critical.
Very well. Mr. Chairman, we will be assigning, we've received House Bill 425 by Representative Charlize Byrd on an annual program on teaching the U.S. Constitution. That will be assigned to academic achievement and curriculum. We've also received House Resolution 459 by Representative Dudgeon on Professional Standards Commission. This is just a rule change on advanced degree certificate upgrades, and that will be assigned to the Subcommittee on Academic Support. And that is it, Mr. Chairman.
That's it? Okay. Any questions about the assignment of bills to subcommittee? Representative Nix, I know you have a full agenda. Could you tell us when your next meeting is and what bills you'll be taking? I have them here if you don't. Here, pass this down to him. And it's next, while we're getting everybody here. I've just about got everybody here. 25, all right.
We will meet at 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, room 216 at the Capitol. We are scheduled to take up 4 bills, House Bill 257, 267, 305, and 310. And I will ask everyone to be very prepared because we are going to have 2 hours, and I'm going to allow 30 minutes per bill. We're going to have to get through them to get them done. So we'll take up 4 bills, 3 o'clock, room 216 at the Capitol on Tuesday.
All right. Any questions about that? All right. If not, we're going to go ahead. We want to move quickly. We have some announcements after, but we want to go ahead with the agenda. Whose subcommittee was Rich's? Rich Golick in there? All right. I'd like to ask Representative Casas, if he would, to give us his report from his subcommittee, and we'll take his bills. We're going to mix them around, so just stick with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Subcommittee on Academic Achievement reported out 3 bills that are here for consideration. The first one is House Bill 181 by substitute. This is Representative Golick's bill on special needs scholarships and just the adjustment on the language there on the waiver. Mm-hmm. We gave a due pass to House Bill 314, and that is Representative Dixon's Jesse's Law bill. We've also gave a due pass to House Resolution 248 by Representative Earhart. Now, Mr. Chairman, there was a notice given that I think that we wanted to consider there was going to be some discussion on an amendment to maybe one of the lines in the resolution.
I think it's there, right.
However, that bill is before us, and we also gave a due pass recommendation to Senate Bill 38, and that is by substitute. So okay. That's what your subcommittee has done.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we're going to let you go first with your bill because I know you have another committee you're going to have to chair. So is your mic on? Check and see if I think you may have to. All right, let's see. Check it now.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I appreciate your time this afternoon. House Bill 181 of the substitute that I'm reading from is LC 334115S. I put the bill in, introduced the bill originally at the request of a constituent who has 2 children both with juvenile diabetes. What he said to me is that he had very grave concerns about the necessity of putting his children into the local school in order to get the IEP done for a full year. That is, he had concerns regarding the ability of the school to meet the child's needs from a medical standpoint. He wanted to take advantage of the special needs scholarship, but obviously didn't want to be put in a position where he was risking the safety of one or both of his children. And so I introduced this bill in the hope of working with the committee in formulating a mechanism for the State Board of Education on an individual case-by-case basis, pursuant to the medical needs of a child, to waive the one-year requirement and to prescribe an alternative procedure that would be more user-friendly for families in this particular type of situation. I wanted to make sure that we did not get into a situation where it was overly broad. I wanted it to be case-by-case, discretion with the state school board, procedure with the school board. I appreciate the vice chair, the chairman of the subcommittee, and working with me on formulating the substitute that I think gets us where we need to be.
All right.
And if I can't answer any questions, I will.
Yeah.
But
Are there any questions on the piece of legislation? You have it before you, so look. Or do I have any questions? I see number 22. Yes, Representative.
We just remind the chair, we do have an amendment to that we would offer that simply calls for the state board to report back for the next 3 years how many applications for waivers there were and how many were approved.
I think that would be very constructive.
Betsy, you have the amendment, so we'll take that up in a minute. There is, so we'll offer that in just a second. Other question, 19.
Just for clarification, thank you, Mr. Chair. Chairman Golick, this doesn't change anything about the bill other than the IEP, that they don't have to be in for a full year and get the IEP from that school.
Well, they'll get it.
Is that right?
It does provide. It does provide for the one-year requirement. However, it also provides the state school board can prescribe an expedited process. In other words, they'll get it from the school, but it could be, as you see on line 34, completed prior to the beginning of the school year.
Okay.
Just in giving them the latitude to be able to look at it, again, on a case-by-case basis, because these things are highly individual, as I think you know certainly much better than I do, in order to see, number one, is the waiver proper? And if it is proper, then what is the best procedure in order to get the IEP done to be in compliance with the law?
Okay. Thank you.
I see no other questions, so Representative Dixon, I will accept your recommendation for an amendment.
Okay. The amendment reads, the State Board of Education shall provide an annual report by December 31st of each year through December 31st of 2015 regarding the number of waivers approved pursuant to this paragraph to the General Assembly. Was prepared by Legislative Council. It's AM 33100.
Betsy, where would that go? Would that be inserted?
It's in line 35.
Line 35, okay.
After the word year.
All right, 35 after the word year. Very good, okay. Do I have a motion that we have an amendment? The amendment you've heard read be inserted on line 35 after year. Do I have a second to the amendment? I have a second. Any discussion? Yes. Would you read it again, Tom? Representative.
Goes on line 35 after the word year. The State Board of Education shall provide an annual report by December 31st of each year through December 31st of 2015 regarding the number of waivers approved pursuant to this paragraph to the General Assembly.
What that's doing, Representative Coz, that's letting us know how many they approved, and is it exceptional? Is it something we should not have done, or should we rescind it? Any objections? All right, do I have, I guess, anybody object? If not, approved. So now we have before you House Bill Substitute LC 334115S as amended. Before you, do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the like sign. Not by no, excuse me. Thank you, Representative. Thomas Toby said, you don't say aye both times. That's right. So, no, so unanimous. So it's going to rules. Bets will it'll go to rules as amended. And of course the House is closed now, so we'll present it Monday morning so you can go to rules Tuesday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you so much. Next, because we have other people that have got to chair meetings, I'd like to ask, and Jacob, if you bring another chair down here, please, for me. I'd like to ask Representative Walker if he'd come forward, and our Speaker Pro Tem Jones, if you'd come down to help, because I know it's hard, this is yours. If you don't mind, would you mind coming down to the table too? That would help us out. I appreciate it. All right, Representative, well, he's not here. Representative Clark, you're here, so what is your number? Would you give us the recommendation from your subcommittee on academic innovations?
Yes, sir. Innovations recommended unanimous do pass to House Bill 271.
Substitute, House Bill 271. Janet, what is that number? Do you know the number on that one? Let's get it right. Let me get it. David has it here. It's LC 211184S. Everyone have that? Okay. Okay. Who wants to start, y'all? So, Representative Walker?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. First of all, I want to thank all the members of the subcommittee who met twice on this measure, and appreciate your attention and many of the good insights that you had on this particular issue. As was mentioned by Chairman Coleman, we are working off a House Committee on Education substitute to House Bill 271. Let me first of all make just a brief statement as to the intent and really the philosophical foundation behind this particular piece of legislation.
And remember, brevity is appreciated. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are many of us that believe that what I call institutional protectionism at the cost of denying opportunities for our public school students to fully experience the value of quality extracurricular activities and participation is, in my opinion, a price that's too great, far too great for us to pay. And this particular bill deals with allowing public school students who are in a charter school to participate fully in extracurricular activities at the public school in their corresponding attendance zone. It also allows a public school student to participate in various extracurricular activities in a charter school that is located in their attendance zone. This, as you'll see from the House substitute, this act is known as the Rachel Sackett Extracurricular Act. It is named for one particular young person, but make no mistake about it, there are many young people throughout the state who will benefit by legislation such as this. Rachel Sackett is an extraordinary young woman. She excels in the classroom. She excels on the athletic field. She and her parents made a decision some time ago that it would be in Rachel's best interest for her to attend a charter school that happens to be in the Mill Creek High School attendance zone in Gwinnett County. And I think it's important for us to keep in mind this legislation has nothing whatsoever to do with homeschool students. This bill has nothing whatsoever to do with private school students. Rachel is a public school student in the state of Georgia. And as I mentioned, the attendance zone for her particular case is Mill Creek. The girls' lacrosse coach at Mill Creek would welcome Rachel with open arms, as would the principal at Mill Creek High School, as well as the teammates of Rachel at Mill Creek High School. She has developed a relationship with these fellow students over a period of time by playing lacrosse in some youth leagues. Rachel wants to participate. The school wants her to participate. The charter school that Rachel attends does not offer this same opportunity. Now, the question before us is, will Rachel be afforded such an opportunity as is afforded at Mill Creek High School? Will Rachel be able to reach her full potential? Will Rachel enjoy the benefits of the kind of extracurricular activity that is offered at Mill Creek High School? Now, let me point out a few things in the substitute that are very important for us to note that are different from the original bill. Extracurricular activity is clearly defined in this bill on page 2, beginning with line 33. And in that definition, I believe it's very important for us to note that an extracurricular activity does not include co-curricular activities in the school system. A co-curricular activity might be band that would require a music course in the curriculum of the high school. It might mean a certain literary event which would require classroom attendance at an academic classroom setting at the school. So it does not include any of those activities. These are extracurricular activities that are typically those activities that are after school hours. As you move down into the bill, lines 41 through 49 is the description of what the public school may allow. And again, it's very important for us to note that this is what the public school may allow. The participation and the final approval of the participation of that student rest in the discretion of the principal of the public school and in accordance with local school board policies. And so that public school student, that charter school student, can make a request, make it known to the principal that he or she would like to participate, but in the final analysis, that discretion lies with the principal of that school. Now, if you go on down to line 50, this is the reciprocal agreement.
Lynn, you're working on another bill, but it's line 49 in the bill we
sorry.
have. That's right. You got to
Okay,
get the last
49.
verse, 49. Jacob, you see he has a copy of
I
that.
had one marked up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to-
That's okay.
All right. The charter school student may allow the public school student in the same way to participate in extracurriculars at the charter school. The important feature of this is that that student must reside in the public school attendance zone in which the charter school is located. Now, the reason that that has been placed in this legislation is that we wanted to avoid a large attendance zone that would encompass perhaps several different counties affecting that particular charter school. In fact, the attendance zone issue is a very, very important issue because the attendance zone limitation will protect this type of activity from a school loading up, for instance, with an athletic team and having an undue advantage over another school. And so that's primarily the reason for that. Also, you'll find in the legislation that all of the academic requirements that are required for participation remain intact, specifically no pass, no play, but also all non-academic requirements and regulations, such as practice time, weight training, rehearsals, disciplinary conditions that might be in place for those kids to participate. And so all of that remains intact for participation. And Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'll turn this over to Speaker Pro Tem Jones to conclude.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. There were just a couple things I wanted to point out. changes from maybe what you had read, or some of you had read in the original version, in addition to the change with the extracurricular being defined, which is defined in current law, and then a definition for co-curricular. And that is on line 35, the definition of public school was changed to include system charter schools and conversion charter schools, because those typically have attendance zones as well. And so really the two types of schools are really, they're grouped by those that generally have attendance zones that we're familiar with versus those that do not with the charter schools. I would like to offer at the proper time an amendment to add the word public 11 times to this document. I'd like to, just to make it perfectly clear to everyone that we are only talking about public schools. And I'll just tell you quickly where it is. It's on line 4, about 2/3 of the way through, where it says and charter schools. It would say and public charter schools.
Okay.
On line 26, before at the very beginning where it says charter school, it would say public charter school. On line 30, charter school student means a student enrolled in a, insert the word public charter school. On line 37, where you see the words charter school, you would put public. On lines 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 57, every time you see the two words charter school, you would add the word public, just to make it perfectly clear. And legal counsel has got this already,
Right.
and is adding that. But I'd be happy to take any questions.
Right. I do have some questions. So first question, I'm taking you in the order the lights came on. So Representative Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me ask just a couple questions. This is much more tolerable in terms of understanding what we're trying to do and getting it done. Thank you very much, Speaker Pro Tem and Chairman Walker, for doing this. I don't know why we have to use the word public. Aren't all charter schools public schools?
They are, but I just think that when we put here on line 35 that public school means a traditional public school, I think to someone reading this, if you didn't also make it clear that charter school also means public school, we all get accustomed to using those words and throwing them around because we're familiar with it, but a lot of folks may not be.
Let me ask about lines 35 through 37, the definition of public school, but shall not include a charter school. So if it is a single public charter school.
Well, it's referring to the definition up above, which would be line 26.
So someone who is in a single charter school, not in a system, not in a conversion charter school, but one of those old-fashioned kind of charter schools, they still have the reciprocal ability. And it is the reciprocal that you can go from a public school to a public charter school if the public charter school principal says yes and the policies of the governing board say yes.
That would be true. It would also include, for example, a startup public school that is managed and operated by the local school system. So, for example,
Right.
in my area, we have a couple of them in North Fulton. They do not offer very many extracurricular activities. If the Fulton County School System decides that they would like to offer that to those students, they would be the local governing board.
And the reciprocal goes both ways. It's the governing board, the principal, that says, yes, we have room, no, we don't have
The
room.
receiving school has to agree to that.
That's right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next, Representative Casas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have two questions. I guess going to the amendment on the wording, is there a way just to put it in a definition so we don't have to add public?
So, I mean, what do you think? Should we just put it in the definition on line 26? A charter school means a
Public.
a startup public school, and then we don't have to put it all the way through there.
Yeah, I mean, those terms are defined terms, so I think we need to keep those intact, but we could say something like charter school means the following public schools or something.
That's fine.
Let's
That'd
throw
be
out.
better.
Probably be easier than
Yeah. Okay. Good.
amending everything. And my second question is, on line 58, I know that Chairman Walker I guess this question is to you. We were talking about that whether a charter school student or a public school student has to maintain the same academic requirements, I guess, that are required for the school in order to participate in that extracurricular activity. From what I remember in high school, the coaches themselves had communication with the classroom teacher as to the performance of the child, whether the child was actually, passing their classes, et cetera, et cetera. How will that work with a coach, let's say in this school X, and communicating with the teachers of the charter school?
Representative Cassis, typically that is a responsibility of the receiving school to maintain those kind of records.
So they'll be able to have access?
Wasn't many years ago that I had a terrible experience in that regards. My oldest daughter, who was a member of the softball team, getting on a bus to go to the state playoffs in Tifton, and the school counselor comes running out the door waving a piece of paper that one of their players had been playing all season ineligible. And so typically the coach and the administrators and the guidance counselors are responsible for maintaining the eligibility.
And so they'll work out the agreement with the home, let's say the school of the player, in order to receive the grades and be receiving the updates.
And it's my understanding that ultimately that would be the coach's responsibility.
The coach's responsibility. Well, I just don't want to see a coach that would like to know how the student is doing, and all of a sudden the school say, well, we don't want to release those records to you. I hope that those agreements will be.
Well, if I was the coach in that situation, that student would become automatically ineligible for my team.
Okay.
Next, we had 17. That's is that you, Reese, Dr. Barbara Reese, Representative Reese. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for the work that you put into this bill and the improvements you've made in it. It's not possible for us to get to all the subcommittees to hear the discussion on bills. And I just wondered, is the School Board Association in favor of this? What groups support this?
I don't know, other than I know that as late as this morning we made some changes that different folks have brought up, like defining the extracurricular, the co-curricular, various changes that I
And at the subcommittee, they did not testify. They've been silent on the issue, so I don't know. This as an organization, I see them looking at me. You say no? Speak up. Don't look at me. Are you against it? Speak up. I want to hear you. I mean, I'm just asking you. Okay. It's going. I mean, you gave me a glare. I just want to know. I'm not chastising you. You are against it? Oh, no comment. Are you being neutral? Okay, let's go on now. No, I'm not looking at you, Herb. I'm looking at school board, Georgia School Board. No, you just say, are you against it? That's what he said, not saying anything. I'm not playing. I'm not you I'm talking about. It was a guy, general sitting next to you. He glared at me, so I'm not sure.
One further question, Mr. Chairman.
Everybody's nervous. I'm playing with you guys. No, I just. All right. If you are, I just gave you a chance to say something.
We worked pretty hard.
I know.
To try to make it palatable. It's fairly different from the bill that is coming over from the Senate.
Yes.
That this is a permissive bill. It's hard for me to believe anybody can object to a permissive bill. If they don't want to participate, they don't have to.
Okay. One further, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. To clarify my understanding of the bill, the receiving school makes the decision. The school board implements a policy. So the school board makes their own policy of whether they will utilize this or not. And then your principal has the final decision. Thank you.
Well, I really, to be clear, constitutionally, the school board makes the final decision because they manage and operate the schools that they manage and operate. If it was a commission charter school, they make the decision that it would be based on if the Georgia Charter School Commission had a policy for it or against it, they would have to comply with that because they're being authorized by them. But it is, just to further clarify, in talking with Betsy, I think she does, Representative Cassis, go through and put the word public. Otherwise, we don't want to conflict with what's in current law with definitions, so just simply sprinkle the word public throughout the bill.
I want to apologize. I wasn't trying to put anybody on the spot, but Representative Clark, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're the vice chair. You were at the hearing. Did you have, what was the sentiment from the crowd? What's your number? Since our chairman's not here,
This was the beginning bill that was heard in committee, and Dr. Swearingen was against it because of the worry about a sports empire. And a school board member was also spoke against it, but it was in a different form at that time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. And I want to, I'm going to apologize. I'm not trying
A
to put
secondary principal spoke against it.
And I shouldn't have done that.
My school board member spoke against because of the concern over, I don't want to speak for her, over the charter systems. And it was very important so they didn't get swept in a different form that they are now, because they have attendance zones that they are defined in.
All right, Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Walker, I appreciate the changes that were made. I definitely was very uncomfortable with the original bill, and much less so now. One, maybe this is just a philosophical concern, but I know school choice is an important issue, and part of me, thinks about this from the perspective that parents and children make a choice to go to a charter school, and by virtue of doing that, they seek some very good educational opportunities that perhaps don't exist at their public school. And yet, it's almost as if we want to let them have their cake and eat it too type of thing. And I'm not saying that out of, that people shouldn't get as much opportunity as they can possibly have. But on the other hand, you have students that are going to that public school that perhaps wanted to go to that charter school, or perhaps chose not to because of the other opportunities that were available in the traditional public school. And the reality is, even though the extracurricular opportunities may now be available, assuming the charter school principal allows students from the public school to come over, even though those may be available, the curriculum, which is really why people are going to a charter school, isn't available. And so in a sense, you really are providing opportunities to charter school students by virtue of being able to take advantage of pretty much everything they've left behind in the public school that they still want to participate in, but that really isn't reciprocal at a fundamental level. So, I mean, that's the big concern I have. But I do appreciate the work you all did. I mean, it is really a much better bill now. So.
If I may respond, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'm looking at it from a very different perspective. The part that is most important to me is the fact that students at very large traditional schools may have more opportunities in the future. Half of the school systems in Georgia have fewer public school students system-wide than our largest high schools. And so what we have in these suburban schools that are 3,000 and 4,000 students are a lack of opportunities for students to make their school play, to make their school team, and to participate in what we used to take just sort of for granted, that you could participate in these activities. I'll give you an example. Lasser High School, which is near the the county next door to me, had more students in high school baseball, I think it was last year, given college scholarships than actually made the varsity team. So I guess you could look at it from having your cake and eat it too. If you go to a startup charter school, I look at it from the other side, is that there are many students who have no interest in going out of their regular traditional school environment, but they are very, very large, and it's something that many of us sitting here can't even conceive of back when we were that age. You just didn't have high schools that had 4,000 students in it, but yet one varsity baseball team or one school play. And over time, as you have charter schools, wouldn't it be great if they need more girls for their volleyball team, or they've got to play, and it might be an all-girls school. Maybe they need a few guys to round out their play, their roster. So, I mean, I think you can look at it from one, but I would encourage you to think of it from both sides.
Well, I think
not just to give an advantage to any one. Because
right.
Frankly, if I were the principal at a very large high school, I probably wouldn't be inclined to open it up to the nearby charter school if I had kids that were being cut from teams. But that's, I'm leaving that to local control.
And in the reality in this specific case, and I don't know the young lady, but any really good athlete, the school obviously may have an interest, but the reality is, big schools have limited rosters, and it means one student who is enrolled in that school now doesn't make the team as a result. So
it means that some will not offer that as an option for that very reason. But my understanding that there's a high school, from what the chairman Coleman said to me, there's a high school in Gwinnett County that, because of the changing demographics, had less interest in football, very large high school, and did not have enough boys to field a freshman boys football team, and would have loved the opportunity to open that up. So, they can set policies. It could be when you don't have enough kids to fill the roster. They'll figure that out how they want to do it. And I think they'll answer ultimately to the parents and, and to sort of what the sentiment is of that school community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
19th, Representative Kais.
I just wanted, I was going to come see you on the House floor, and it was kind of a busy morning, but I wanted to ask, and I thank you for making the changes as well, because the governing board piece was important at the startup charter school. So since the principal's ex officio typically on a governing board at a startup charter school, the governing board could then override the decision of the principal. So where my children made the B team in soccer, a kid could come from another school and knock them out of a spot even on the B team. Came in very disappointed yesterday because they didn't make the A team. But my question would be, do you foresee a situation where at a larger school a kid doesn't make the soccer team, a traditional larger school, and then wants to come and be on the soccer team at the neighborhood charter school? But my question is, a governing board, if the principal allows that, the governing board then could put in policy not to be a recipient. So could the local school board override a principal's decision as well?
By Constitution.
Okay, that's what I wondered.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, there's the governing authority. All right, I'm coming on down 25. That's Representative Nix.
They've kind of touched on my concern too, whereas this young lady was a great lacrosse player. Let's just say that she goes and does this, and some other young lady who's never played lacrosse said, hey, man, that looks like a fun thing. I'm going to go over and apply, and they don't accept her. Do you anticipate problems with one being accepted and the other not?
I would expect that they would have a policy. Gwinnett County's a big school system. They're going to have a policy as to when and under what circumstances they're going to allow kids to come try it. It's a public school, so if they choose to, they're probably not going to have a policy where they pick and choose, but they allow more open,
So you would kind of anticipate that you've got to be able to make the team in order to
they'll make that
to be
decision.
able to do it. Because that was the only thing that I couldn't. I like the concept, but right. I can see some problems develop when one is accepted and the other is not.
Ultimately, you know what? They do the same thing now with when you have 4,000 students and how many teams do they run and how they do it. I trust the local school system or the governing board of the startup charter schools to make that, not a conversion, but like a commission charter school to make that decision. Okay. I see it more as offering opportunities, generally speaking, where there's capacity. Okay. And I think that's generally what the intent of it is and what will happen. You will have, students from very large public schools who, if there's a capacity, available at a charter school that's in their attendance zone where they could go participate on a play or whatever they have.
Okay.
All right.
They'll make those decisions.
Number 26, that's Representative, is it 26? Yes. All right.
That's very briefly, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I do appreciate the bill and the changes. I think they're very good. Just as an example, school boards already do policies around transfers and so forth, where you have a capacity, we have a program, but we don't shut out a local kid. I believe that the boards will come up with policies that are sort of common sense around this. And the fact that it is permissive language, that's a winner all around. So I appreciate the bill. Thank you.
All right, Representative Clark. Did you have a question?
No, sir.
Okay, Representative, let's see, all right, Morgan, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to add a third perspective since we're talking about perspectives. One of the reasons why I really like this bill is because as we talk about public school students, whether they are in a charter, a startup, a traditional, we're all talking about public school students. And I want to offer a different perspective, that it's not about a student choosing and having to leave everything else behind. But if our goal is to focus on the student and what's in the best interest of a student and making sure that they have a well-rounded education, what's wrong with a child choosing a charter school and then wanting to go to the drama club at a different school if it's not offered at their own? So we've been talking a lot about sports, but I also thought it was important to consider some of the other extracurricular activities that we're exposing public students to. And that's why I'm supportive of this bill. It really gives more opportunities to students, and that's, after all, why we're here, right?
I would hope so. Students first, that's our motto. All right, we'll have 3 more questions, and that's it. I see no more like 3 questions, and that's it. Nobody else put your light on. Number 12. Do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In our area, we have 2 magnet schools, actually 3. And I'm probably the only one up here that can't figure this answer out. But when you use the word public school, public charter, and we have magnet schools, and then I hear the other terms for different other types of charter schools. I know magnet schools are funded through public funding, and public charter schools are funded through public, funding. But are we talking about private schools in this matter? And this is not private schools. Okay.
Because they signed a change in the subcommittee this morning that
So if the kid's in a big school and they're going to make a soccer team, he could come and knock my kid off their soccer team.
Yeah.
And the same thing in charter school this big, you got cut if you come to public school. But cheerleaders.
Why'd they take that out?
Because that's the way the same bill was.
Maybe it's a math magnet school, but they wanted to have a school club. They don't have as many kids that are interested in that. They could open it up, space up to participate.
Okay.
Point, not as Representative Morgan just mentioned, one of our schools is an arts charter school, drama. So sports not being the focus, there may be kids in regular traditional public school that may want to go over there. So I guess my question is, this would allow those 2 schools or those schools, public charter / magnet and traditional schools, to, I guess, interchange those students for those purposes. Okay.
I know how emotional this is, and I've got some. So I'm gonna handle this the best I can now. And I apologize to everybody, but I'm being very calm and very unriddled. So just hold on with me. And you don't have a question? All right. Now I'm going to do this. I'm taking Kathy, then I'm going to let Margaret. Margaret really feels she's got to say something. No, so Margaret, Representative Kaiser. So you go ahead and say what you need to say. She wants you to be first.
Well,
right?
This is my concern. I had a little reluctance with the bill, but with the changes, I'm fully supportive until I just realized something was taken out of the bill. Originally in the bill, it was where there was not the sport or the activity already offered. So my concern is, with the sweat equity as parents we've put into this charter school and have given up other things. You could have a kid who has a soccer team. They have access to play on that soccer team at our other traditional public school, not make the team, and then make their case for being on our school's team, which is coached by parents, and it could knock one of our kids out of a spot because we just had to cut 10 kids because of a lack of resources. So our principal could decide, even though they have soccer, they can then come to our school and play soccer. Well, would you take a friendly amendment to put that back in? Right.
They might want to have the opportunity to go to the traditional school and play, do something that is also offered at their school, but vice versa. They may not be in a charter school forever. The kids may go to the large, traditional school, and not, because it's 3,000 students, there's not enough room for them to make the school play. They want to go to the nearby charter school. I think the fact that it's not offered
Well, I know. I think it's right, and I just respectfully have to disagree. Our school has become very competitive. We have parents at our school whose children have been cut or placed on A/B teams that they disagree about. So I can imagine the drama that this would cause if a kid from our other traditional school comes over with the. I mean, we have parents who work full time who then coach these teams. Sometimes they are.
Do you have a question, Steve? Do you still have a question?
Right.
You're not ready.
Well, just because we've gotten to a point where we've got some parents who coach our teams who really want winning teams, and they've done it at the cost of kids who might not be as good as the kids they want on the team. Yeah.
We won't debate this, but I wanted to be sure that Representative Kaiser had her chance. All right, the last one now that's on here. Representative Thomas, I'm going to give you, is your light on?
It is, Mr. Chairman, but I just would like to offer an amendment at the appropriate time.
All right, you have that right. All right, anybody, any more questions? That's it. All right, I have at this thing, I think I have 2 amendments that we have. Well, yeah.
I didn't realize it was taken out.
We have 2 amendments now, right? Do you have an amendment, Representative Jones? Do you have all right, so we take the last one offered first. All right, Representative Thomas, give us your amendment. Betsy, you ready? All right. Go ahead. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We actually talked about this in subcommittee, and there was actually a lot. We never took a vote in the first meeting, but there seemed to be some significant consensus toward this point among the committee members. Because we're talking about opportunities, if that charter school offers those activities, then there seems to be little reason to want to open up the same opportunities at a larger public school. And for that reason, Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer an amendment on page 2, at line 46, after the word education period. I'd like to insert the following language.
All right.
A student may not participate in an extracurricular activity at another school if such extracurricular activity is already provided by and for students. I'm sorry, provided by students at the school of attendance. It's already provided.
Betsy, you got that? Would you repeat it, Brian? Or do you have?
Right, I'm trying to read my handwriting, which is illegible even to myself. So,
You ready? Can you read it again? Everyone listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A student may not participate in an extracurricular activity at another school if such extracurricular activity is already provided by such student's school of attendance.
All right.
And that would be inserted on line 46 after the period, which is after the word education.
You understand that?
As well as line 55. after education period.
All right. Does the author object? He objects. All right. We have an amendment and objection. Does you insist?
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Insist
so I'm gonna call
seems such a strong word, but I'd like to vote on it.
Do I have a second to the amendment? I have a motion and a second. All right, I'm going to ask for a vote. Hands vote. All in favor? Oh, any discussion? I'm sorry, Matt. Yes.
I would just like to say that this, and you know I'm a big supporter of charter schools. I authored the Charter School Commission bill. This makes this bill primarily apply to 2% of our public school students. 98% of our public school students who attend, many of them large traditional schools, will have those activities offered, but will now no longer have the opportunity because they didn't make their team or because it was very competitive. They had a play. There were only 30 kids who got on the in the play instead of at a school with 3,000 or 4,000 students. They will not now have that opportunity to go to a corresponding charter school. And I think what this does is it sets up preferential treatment of charter schools. And, you know, my thing is I don't want preferential treatment one way or the other. I want everybody treated the same and having the same opportunities.
Representative Reese?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could the local school board make provisions within their policy so that if this extracurricular activity is offered at the other school and slots are not available, but they could with the original bill. The school board could make its own decision.
Okay.
I'm withdrawing my second.
All right. You withdrew yourself? Okay. I do not have a second for the, but I'll let you speak, Representative Thompson. Go ahead. You're on. I've turned you on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just trying to get your attention to withdraw my amendment.
Oh, okay. Withdraw the amendment. Do you object to that? I have another amendment. So, Representative Jones, you have an amendment. And you had made it.
Well, we put it in alphabetical order. I was just saying that would make it.
And then it would renumber on line 26. That would be have a 3 at the beginning. Line 30 would have a 1. Line 32 would have a 2. Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any? Does the author of the bill object to the amendment? Do you object to the amendment? He does not, so amendment is accepted. All right. Any other discussion? All right. Any discussion? All right, it's accepted. All right. Do I have a motion on the bill? I have movements all over the place. All right. Do I have seconds all over the place? All in favor of the bill, please indicate by saying aye. All in favor. Let me go back. All in favor of House Bill LC 211184S as amended, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All against the proposal indicate by saying no. Hallelujah. All right, unanimous. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, Mr. Chairman, it is approved. You can go to rules Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's move ahead now. What else do we have from your committee, Mr. Representative Casas? We have 4 more bills, so stay with us. 5 more, but they're quick. I know they are. right, you're on.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, we have House Bill 314 by Representative Dixon, and this is Jesse's Law.
You can stay. Would you like to stay? All right, 22. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have, what's the number on that one, Representative Dixon? All right, you're on.
LC 334026, House Bill 314.
LC 30, all right, 4026.
334026.
I don't have it. All right.
Okay, House Bill 314 is entitled Jesse's Law, and it deals with a very closely defined, narrowly defined situation, which would deal only with a student who is in foster care, who is required to appear in court related to their foster care status. They would be counted present in school. It is reflected or is caused by a situation in an unnamed school system where that child lost perfect attendance that they had maintained for a number of years because they were in foster care and had to go to court. I would appreciate your support for Jesse.
Any questions? I have none. So, well, I have 24. Is there somebody has it? I have one over here. So one of you give me a motion. I heard from Representative Ash, give me a motion.
I moved you past.
Representative Maxwell, give me a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Can you make it retroactive?
No.
I wish we could to help that child out. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It passed. All right, unanimous. All right, what's next, Representative Geisler? You're on?
Not on.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have the last bill that we have from Academic Achievement is House Resolution 248 by Representative Earhart, but I'm not sure if we have a presenter for this resolution.
Pardon?
No, I don't think so.
What's that? No, Representative Maxwell, you will not be recognized for a comment. I'm supposed to do it because he asked me to do it, so I'm going to do it. So everybody, if you look at House Resolution 248, what this basically is you know we had a bill. It was the National Board Certification. We had the committee, and we had voted under years ago that we would allow those people who got this certification to get a 10% salary increase attached on to their salary. And of course, during the tough times that we had to do a lot of cutting in salaries and within days and different things, budget cuts. It's been almost impossible to have the funds to do this. However, we passed a bill 3 years ago that said we had every intent of honoring this. They stopped allowing any new National Board Certified teachers to get in the pipe, but they said that any who got it could get the 10% if they went to an at-need school. And at this time, we have been unable to fund this, but what we're doing, this resolution that Representative Earhart has, simply says that we intend to honor this. Whereas, and if you look really on line 29, this is what the crux of the matter is. It says, now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of this body are committed to restoring funds for the National Board Certified Teachers at the earliest possible date as funding permits. And that's what we're saying. The rest of the time is the whereas they're this and whereas they're that. So what it's basically doing, we still committed to do this, and I think it's very, very important. Anybody want to make a comment? All right, I have several lights. 11. Representative Purcell? Okay, anybody want to make a comment? First, raise your hand. All right, Representative, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thomas?
I apologize for being obtuse, but do I understand this resolution to be saying that we, the body that actually appropriates the money, urge ourselves to appropriate the money?
That is correct. Although Representative Dixon left.
Yeah, Representative Dixon. The money man left. Yeah, he left. Yes.
That's correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, 23. Who is that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe I see an error in the bill.
Okay, what is it?
It's on line 3.
Line 3?
And I do believe, and I'd like to ask the DOE, her name is Pam Williams, not Pam Williams' son. So we need to change
It is
that.
Williams, that's correct. Pan Williams. Is that?
Thank you.
Is that so noted?
The teacher in me.
All right, that will be corrected. Okay. Anything else? I don't know that we need an amendment or anything on that. I think we're just going to correct the spelling error. I will instruct legislative council. Any other comments? I see 2. You want to make anybody else? 11 didn't have anything. All right, Kathy, at this time.
My comment continues to be the one I made in the subcommittee, and that is helping me understand how National Board Certified teachers fit into the race to the top in the 26 systems in which we're doing it.
Yeah.
I see race to the top in teacher effectiveness looking mostly at student achievement and not at teacher qualifications based on certification or being nationally board certified. So I think this is a little out of the context of where we are at the moment, but I've been a strong supporter of national board certified teachers for a long time, and I'm going to continue to vote for it, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next few years.
Let me ask this. The governor's office, where's our rep that's supposed to be here? The governor's office. Are you here to go? Would you ask the governor's, Rep. Aaron, if she would, Ms. Hames, that at the next meeting we would like an explanation of how they see this fitting in the picture, because we as a legislature feel it's very important, and we want to know how this, this certification, how it would fit into the race to the top. Does that get your?
That solves my problem.
Thank you so much. All right, any other questions? All right, at this time I'll entertain a motion. Who's going? What? All right, we have a correction from Legislative Council. She does have to offer an amendment. So at this time, Representative Carter, I take your amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to offer the amendment on line 3 to read, to change the word Williamson to Williams.
Do I have, does the author object? No, I don't object. Do I have a second? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. The amendment is accepted. Now do I have a motion on the bill?
Do pass.
On the resolution. I have a recommendation for do pass. Do I have a second? Second. I have seconds everywhere. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? No. Let's have hands raised in. All right, all for it, raise your hand. Everyone for the resolution, raise your hands. Janet, get a count. All right, all opposed, raise your hand. We have 3 against it, okay? Let the minutes so note, all right? 3 against. All right, 12 for it. That does pass. All right, I'll tell Earl to move it forward. Oh, that's yours, isn't it, Representative Cass? Is that all yours? Do you have another one? All right, Representative Nix, you have yours. All right.
Under the very able leadership of Representative Ash, in my absence, the Academic Support Committee passed out 3 bills. House Bill 81 with a do pass recommendation, House Bill 285 with a do pass recommendation, and Senate Bill 38 with a do pass as amended recommendation.
All right, Representative Ash, I'm going to turn you on, and you can tell us if there are any comments or concerns. Which one do you want to take first, since you chaired it?
Let's take House Bill 81 first.
All right, 81. Who is the author of that one?
Representative Casas.
All right, Representative 81, Representative Casas. All right, Representative Casas. You're on.
House Bill 81.
Your bill, 81.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to give my time to present the bill afterward. I know that we have Chairman Davis with us, and he has
oh, that's right.
He has some votes that he needs to cast.
Do you mind that? Representative Ash, we'll bring Representative Davis down. All right, Representative Davis, come on forward.
Do we have the senator for?
He's not coming. Let me say this: the senator's asked that you can take your committee with you. All but.
You keep as many as you need.
I need all of them, but that's all right. Take what you need.
Fine.
All right, Representative Davis, come forward and sit down. He's taking the place of because he'll be carrying it for Senator Rogers. All right. All right, this is Senate Bill 38, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I am pleased to present to you Senate Bill 38 on behalf of Majority Leader Rogers. This is a bill relating to the powers and authority of the state school superintendent. There's a few different things, as the law currently states that the school superintendent is the chief administrative officer, executive officer over the day-to-day operation of the department, yet he does not have some of the powers of other constitutional officers in the state. So this bill sets out to correct some of that. In Section 1, basically we're allowing the school superintendent to set the agenda for the board meetings and change that from the chairperson that has it now. In Section 2, we're striking out some language on authority on whether on hiring and firing and employing and dismissing members of the department. And Section 3 is also dealing with that, and Section 4 is giving sole authority to the school superintendent to hire his staff with the School for the Deaf and Blind. And that is all this bill does. It's a pretty good measure. It passed unanimously with bipartisan support from the subcommittee led by Representative Ash.
All right, I have a question, 28.
I have two questions. One is about the bill and one is not. The one about the bill, can you just talk us through the reasoning from going from $50,000 to $250,000 regarding the authority to enter into contracts? Page 2, starting on line 44.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry that I failed to recognize the second part of Section 3. The $250,000 is the same amount that the other constitutional elected officers for the state of Georgia have, and this just brings that in line. And this is a minority of the contracts that would, right now it's only about 12% of the contracts that this affects. So that would be above that for him to go to the board. So this is really brings us into a more modern number than the 50,000.
May I ask a follow-up to that?
Sure.
What is the process now? Is that done through bidding, or is that just selecting a vendor?
No, that's a separate issue. The bidding is in code law in a separate section. Any purchases by the state has to go through the Department of Administrative Services through a competitive bid process. I think the number on that is separate from this. I think it's something like $5,000.
Okay.
But that doesn't. This is just basically saying that he doesn't have to go to the board until it gets to over $250,000.
Okay, and then my second question was...
Reverend Morgan, Tom, is we right on that? Tom? Those numbers, we right on that, numbers?
Well, actually, a lot of the other constitutional officers have unlimited. And Representative Davis was correct. Only 12% of our contracts are $250,000 or less. And the reason this is in there, it helps us expedite getting these contracts out and work with the...
Her question about the bid process, and that's the one we're talking about.
A lot of these contracts are not bid. You're contracting with people to perform a service. A lot of them are teachers. A lot of them are RESA districts. A lot of them may contract with RESA district to do math mentors. So it's a lot of that. It's not like bidding, buying equipment or things.
But where there is a bid, you do have the process you follow.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
My
you.
other question, not relating to the bill, and if it's not appropriate, let me know. But I'm just curious. I was thinking about this yesterday. Why and what is the history with the governor appointing all of the State Board of Education members? I'm trying to understand the balance of powers there.
You passed that in your vote when we asked the citizens of this state how they wanted their state, their county boards and superintendents appointed or elected, and the superintendent, the state school superintendent. The voters in this state voted that all local school boards would be elected and they would appoint their superintendent. But they left in the law that the superintendent, am I correct? Everybody help me, would be elected by the people and the governor would appoint the board members. Is that correct? Let's hear some heads nod. Help me. I want your help this time.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's constitutional. It's in the Constitution. Good. All right. Number 24.
Proper time motion.
All right. I see no more, so I accept the motion.
Do
I have
pass.
a motion and a second. Do pass. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. All opposed, no. All right, it does pass. Please stay with me. We've got two more. What is it, Kathy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Where's Kathy Ash? Oh, she's gone. Good Lord. All right, help me out, Randy. 285. That's the one I'm carrying for Kelly Henson. If y'all look at that one, that really is simple. What this one is doing right now, when we need to do a background check on school employees, educators, what this is allowing to do, it's allowing the school systems or the Professional Standards Commission, Kelly, am I correct, to contract with the FBI or the clearance house to go ahead and do a background check, and then they can exchange these background checks with one another. The school system can send it to Kelly at the PSC. Kelly could do it and send it to the school system. That's basically all it's doing, right, Kelly? It's all in the law, very specific. Yeah. Any questions? I have a motion. Ripcar, second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. All right. Representative Nick, what's the last one? Representative Cassis. All right. All right, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 81. Just a couple of sections there that members of the committee can take a look at. What this bill does is, if you'll notice on line 17, it's the first provision, is that required fiscal notes that need to be introduced before the 20th day, we are adding any bill that will make a significant revenue or expenditure impact on any local school system or any local school. All right? Based on that, the next change will be on page 4, the last page, which we have the provisions that will govern that. Basically, it's treated as a retirement bill. If there is a bill that will cause a significant impact on a local school or a local system, that bill, if passed by the General Assembly, cannot go into effect until July 1st of the following year in order to allow the systems to adjust their budgets. That's it.
And as the retirement bills give us a chance, we need to in the summers to look at it and decide what it's really going to do. If we want to move it ahead, if we want to move it ahead. All right, I have 24. Comment?
I just want to make sure those not going to the retirement committee.
Yeah, we're going to ask Howard to take all these bills.
The second part was, I read this part on section 4, and is this going to be causing an additional expense on the school systems to have to come up with these numbers? Or you think the local system?
This is legislation we're passing, so
we're passing it, but for the school system,
it didn't come up in subcommittee, and I think the bulk of the work is really done through the state school superintendent and the Office of Planning and Budget, and I believe that the communication is simply that if they need further numbers, they can keep going down.
And we may have to require physical notes like we do if we think it's going to go. All right. Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Casas, on the last line of the change 133 on page 4, should that read following the year of passage of such bill rather than introduction, since technically it could be introduced in 2011 but not passed until 2012, and that would make it effective the summer of 2012, which I don't think is the intent.
That's a good point. Let's see
Betsy.
the Legislative Council.
Yeah. So what you're saying after it's passed?
Exactly. We would say July 1st of the year following the year of its passage, of the passage of such bill.
The only problem with that is you don't know if it's going to pass, and you're trying to do something prior to that. I'm trying to think. I think that tracks, doesn't it, the language of the
Retirement. Howard, I think that's the way y'all do them.
Yeah, we introduced the first year. We studied them during the
Summer.
first year. Next year we passed in committee, so it would go into effect the second year, the July of the second year. The effective date of the bill should not be earlier than July 1st of the year following the year of introduction. So that's correct. We introduced it.
That's correct.
It's got to be introduced this year.
And go.
But in this case, it could be introduced, let's say, if it were this year, so introduced in 2011, studied, thought about, passed in 2012. The school systems only know that it's actually going to pass until 2012. but it's going to be in effect July 1st, 2012, which doesn't give them a year to sort of make adjustments in their budget.
But they've had that year, like to do retirement bills, and know that's on the board, and they're in the discussions in the summer where we heard the bills to see if it's, and they would know this.
Well, they wouldn't know if it's going to pass or
No,
not,
they
so
don't.
they wouldn't plan for it unless it actually passes, is my
Right,
point.
right.
But, I mean, however y'all want to give
No,
it
I'm
to them,
serious.
that's fine. It just
No,
seems to
seriously,
me that
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's not
Betsy, what do you
achieving
think?
the sort of lead time you want to give them.
Yeah, let's hear our legislative counsel. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not rushing because I want this right, so I'm not trying to rush this. Yeah.
I think it would work better the way it is, just because of the timing of it. To me, it doesn't quite make sense if you say fall into your passage when you don't know when that's going to be. So how can you write a bill to be effective on a date when you don't know if it's going to pass the first or the second year of a session?
And that's the way we do our retirement bills, like this.
I'm not following the logic.
Say it again, Betsy.
Well, excuse me. So if we're talking about a 2-year process here, right?
Well, perhaps, not necessarily, though.
Yeah, no, we are talking about a 2-year process.
So if you introduce a bill in the first year of the 2-year session, then how do you know what effective date to put on it? Because you don't know if it's going to pass in the first year or the second year of the session.
Oh, you're referring to what we put on the bill itself.
Right, right.
And we could actually put on the bills go into effect December or January.
Yeah, when it is. What we're basically saying is any bill that's going to have a required unfunded or funded mandate must be introduced the first year of the biennium, like retirement bills. We have them. The second year, we're not taking any bills. If they don't, like Howard, you hear it, he's been saying all year, if you have a bill that requires funding, it must have been introduced already.
Non-fiscal is about the 20th.
By the 20th.
Bills we can still take at the end of the
Right, because they're going to be studied this summer, but this year. But then we'll study them, so that's what we would say. Then next year, you'll take no physical bills. That's correct.
Well, I guess I'm even more confused now then, because we're not giving the school districts any lead time whatsoever. In fact...
Oh, you're giving them a year's lead time.
Well, you're not really, because they don't know if it's passing or not.
No, but they know it's possible. And
but they're not going to budget for a possibility. They're going to budget for what they actually have to budget for, I would think. Yeah. And I'm not a school board member, but it would make sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities out there, but you only budget for what you know. Yeah. And now we're saying, and even if we wanted to extend it out another year, this sounds like we can't, that it will take effect.
No, you can extend it out by what date you put on the bill when it becomes effective on that bill. Let's hear from our school board member because he's done this. Yes, sir.
26. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. School boards already have a trouble in trying to deal with the fact that the budget doesn't even pass and get signed until May. So I like the language as is because it gives you, school boards are used to looking at things that are on the radar and sort of trying to plan, and you can kind of tell the general sense of things. I think the intent of the statute as it is good, and it kind of slows down the process so you don't have a fiscal thing kind of get rushed through at the last minute, and then all of a sudden it shows up, and maybe it wasn't such a good idea because we're forcing the schools to spend money. I think by slowing us down, it allows us to be more respectful of the local school systems before we force them to spend money or make a fiscal impact. But I do like the language as is, and I don't think it adds an additional burden that much to a school board.
12.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like if you did it 1 year upon the governor's signature, if you're trying to get that 1 year delay for planning.
What we're doing as retirement bills, we're saying any legislator that wants to introduce a bill that's going to cost money, you must introduce it the first year of the biennium. Mm-hmm. That's this year we're in now. We will not pass those bills that year. We know they're there. We're then that summer going to talk about them, send out a fiscal note, see what the cost is going to be, da-da-da-da-da. Then the following year, it'll be debated and either passed or not. So you're giving them, as the board, our board member said, you're giving them that year to look at it. So they know it. That bill, now that's not happening now, but in the next biennium, this is when that would take effect and that would happen. Is that correct, Reverend Constance?
So they have to plan for the possibility and the
reality
in both ways.
Any comment on that, Reverend Constance?
Mr. Chairman, I think we've answered it in that sense.
All right, we've had it. All the discussion. Any more discussion? I want to be sure everybody knows. Number 24.
Proper time motion.
This is the proper time. I have no more lights.
Move to pass.
I have a motion to do pass on House Bill 81. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any more discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The bill does pass. That is our agenda, and we have another. Oh, wait a minute, got another one. I'm sorry, Representative.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. We were just informed that the actions of this committee on House Bill 314 need to be corrected. If you, and it's just an oversight so we can fix it quickly. If you actually look, and I'm surprised no one saw it, if you actually look at the language, it just needs to be worded differently. On line 4, it should read, foster care students are credited as present to attend. So striking out granted excused absences from school. And it should read credited as present.
Credited as present from school?
Well, it says credited as present. We can have legislative counsel explain.
Would you explain, Betsy, please? Explain why and what we're doing.
This was my error. I was thinking we were just giving them excused absences, but we're treating these more like the pages that come down here to the General Assembly, so they're actually counted as present. They're not marked as absent, either unexcused or excused. So this corrects that to conserve their perfect attendance.
So, Betsy, it would read it to us now again.
All right, so on line 4, this is a little bit awkward, but it's all I can come up with right now. Foster care students are credited as present to attend court proceedings related to such students' foster care. And then down on line 19, we strike the words granted excused absences, and instead it would say shall be credited as present by the school and shall not be counted as an absence, either excused or unexcused, for any day, portion of the day, or days.
Now, Betsy, I know Roberts is not here with me. You're going to have to help me get out of this one. Now, we passed the bill, so what I have to ask for it, how do I unvote and then revote, or do I just pass? I'd like to ask for a motion to reconsider our action and giving a due pass to House Bill 314. Do I have a motion? I have a motion as second. Any discussion? 29, do you have it? Okay, he waves. All right. All in favor of reconsidering our action, please indicate by saying aye. All opposed, no. All right. Now, do I have a motion to do pass House Bill 314 as amended?
So moved.
I have the motion and the second. All right. Do I have any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Did anybody in the audience have anything they want to say for the good of the cause? I apologize to y'all the way I acted. I acted uncalled for, so I appreciate it. Would my friends please stay around? I'd like to come out and shake your hands, all you head nodders. But members of the committee, Howard, have you given your $25? Has everybody get that? Howard has. Everybody give me your $25, and we'll see you. Tell them I'm coming. Thank y'all. Have a great day. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Legislation.
Two things.